Welcome back to the deep dive. So if you've ever wanted, a shortcut to really getting Iceland what makes it tick, its whole mix of history, raw power, and this almost unbelievable human resilience, then this is the deep dive for you.
It really is. We're tracing the route known worldwide as the Golden Circle.
And this isn't just some scenic drive, right? It's an 8 or 9 hour adventure through what our sources call, and I think this is perfect, cinematic landscapes.
That's absolutely the right way to put it. Our mission today is to move past the postcards and really distill what makes this one route such a concentration of world history, some pretty radical geology, and cutting-edge sustainability.
Okay, so let's start where most of these journeys do. Reykjavik.
Yep, the capital.
It's just remarkable to think it was founded by Viking settlers way back in the 9th century. And the name itself, Reykjavik, it literally means smoky bay.
Right, and that was because of the geothermal steam they saw rising from the ground.
Yeah.
And that ancient observation, that steam, it basically defines the city's modern existence. I mean, when we talk about sustainability, here is the crucial fact. Nearly all of Reykjavik's heating comes directly from geothermal energy.
And we're not talking about, like, solar panels or something. We're talking about heat pulled straight from the earth.
Straight from the Earth's core, it fundamentally changes everything. The city's infrastructure is built around harvesting this latent energy. Imagine living somewhere where your heating is essentially endless and clean.
That's why if you visit in winter, you see that steam, right, rising from the streets.
From manholes, rooftops. It's the city literally being warmed by the magma right beneath your feet. And that constant activity is the theme that leads us to our first major stop.
Okay, so leaving the city behind, we head to Þingvellir National Park, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And this is where, as you said, history just collides head-on with geology.
And the history is massive. Let's start there. Þingvellir is the birthplace of Iceland's parliament, the Alþingi.
Founded in 930 AD.
930 AD. So this is one of the oldest continuously operating parliaments in the entire world. This was the spot. For centuries, this is where laws were made, disputes were settled, all out in the open.
And the sources suggest the location itself was key. The acoustics of the rift walls helped carry the speaker's voice.
A perfect example of adapting governance to the landscape. But then, if that history isn't enough, you just turn around.
And you're staring at this massive geological rift.
You're staring directly at it. This is where you can literally walk between the North American and Eurasian tectonic plates. You're seeing the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, which is normally deep under the ocean, but here it's right on land.
That is just, it's mind-blowing. You're in the gap.
And it's still moving. The plates pull apart about 2 centimeters every single year, so the valley is physically wider now than when the Vikings first gathered there.
And of course, there's the fun fact that everyone loves.
You have to mention it. It's the only place on Earth where you can dive or snorkel between 2 continents. In the Sulfur Fissure, in that crystal clear water.
It's no wonder that this landscape became a character in modern storytelling. Our sources point out it was a major filming location for Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah, this was the land beyond the wall. And when you're there, it makes perfect sense. The dramatic cliffs, the desolate beauty. It's a ready-made epic fantasy set.
So you get ancient history, geology in action, and high fantasy all in one stop.
Exactly. And before you leave, there's also the Geysir waterfall, which is a really stunning, easy walk inside the park. Just a beautiful, contained moment of natural power.
Okay, so moving on, the story of the Golden Circle kind of shifts gears. We've done the massive scale tectonic plates, ancient laws. Now things get a bit more intimate.
That's a great way to put it. We go from the violent ripping apart of continents to the quiet persistence of life that's sustained by that same geothermal heat.
And first up is Gullfoss waterfall. It's maybe less famous, but visually it's a showstopper. Iceland's blue jewel, they call it.
The color is just spectacular. It's this vivid, almost unnatural turquoise blue against the black volcanic rock. It's all down to the mineral composition of the glacial meltwater. It looks like nature filtered it.
And after that intense visual, the sources point us to a very human scale stop. Efstidler to second. Wait, so we've just seen extreme geology, and now we're at a dairy farm.
It seems random, but it's not. It survives because of that intense terrain, the geothermal activity, the rich volcanic soil. It all creates a unique environment for farming. And Efstidler II is this amazing multi-generational family farm making it all work.
So you can actually meet the Icelandic cows
and get fresh homemade ice cream. Made right there.
Wow.
Yeah, that kind of farm-to-table intimacy is the perfect counterpoint. You go from walking between continents to eating ice cream made from milk produced just a few feet away.
It really connects you back to the land. But speaking of raw power, we have to move on to the explosive core of the route, the Geysir hot spring area.
Right, and here you don't just read about geothermal energy. You smell it, you feel the heat, you watch it erupt.
And the main event isn't the original Great Geyser anymore, is it?
No, he's mostly dormant. The reliable star of the show is Stroker. This one erupts high into the air every few minutes.
I've seen videos of that blue bubble of water that forms right before it explodes.
It's incredible. That dome of superheated water just before it blasts 50, 60 feet into the sky, it's pure, uncontrolled thermal energy.
And that energy provides the perfect transition to the next stop, Gullfoss, the golden waterfall.
This is the big one, Iceland's most famous waterfall. Just a thunderous roar as the water plunges down into this deep, jagged canyon. It really makes you feel small.
But the key insight here isn't just the power of the falls, it's the story of how it was saved, right?
Yes. This is crucial for understanding Iceland's environmental ethos. Gullfoss is a national treasure now, but it was almost destroyed.
So what happened?
Well, in the early 1900s, foreign investors wanted to build a hydroelectric plant, which would have diverted the water and ruined the falls. And the fight to save it was led by the landowner's daughter, a woman named Sigríður Tomasdóttir. And she wasn't just, writing letters.
She was a serious activist.
A fierce one. She famously threatened to throw herself into the waterfall if construction began. Her protests delayed the project just long enough for the whole deal to fall apart. She basically set the precedent for environmental preservation in Iceland.
That's an incredible story. And because of her, we get to see that beautiful detail.
The double rainbows. On sunny days, the mist creates these amazing, vivid rainbows. That's where the golden waterfall comes from. A glow that we can see today thanks entirely to her fight.
Amazing. Okay, so from raw nature and preservation, the circle then pivots to show us some modern Icelandic ingenuity.
Specifically, how they use all that geothermal heat to solve big problems, like growing food.
Which brings us to Friheimar, the tomato greenhouse restaurant. It sounds like something out of science fiction.
It kind of is. You're driving through this volcanic landscape, and then suddenly there's this huge glowing greenhouse. The entire operation heating lighting is powered by geothermal energy.
So they're using volcanic heat to grow tomatoes year-round?
Year-round. In a place with very little sunlight in the winter, and you can sit down right there among the tomato plants and have their famous tomato soup and fresh bread. It's sustainability in action.
Wow. Okay, what's next after tomatoes?
We go back to pure geology with the Kerry volcanic crater.
And this looks totally different. It's this perfect circular crater with these steep, red volcanic slopes.
That red color comes from the iron in the rock, and it's about 3,000 years old. Geologists think it was a magma chamber that just collapsed in on itself.
So it's a hole, basically, a massive sunken hole with a bright blue lake at the bottom.
Stunning visual contrast, but here's the really cool cultural fact. Because of its shape, like a natural amphitheater, musicians sometimes hold live concerts right inside the crater.
No way.
Oh, yeah. Imagine the acoustics bouncing off that ancient red rock with the audience sitting all around the rim. It shows how Icelanders see their landscape not just as scenery, but as an active cultural space.
That's incredible. And that idea brings us to our final stop before heading back, right? Ferragerie geothermal town.
Exactly. The entire town's identity is geothermal. It's been called Iceland's greenhouse capital since the early 1900s because the whole town is built on this geothermally active land.
And this is where it gets really interactive for visitors.
It really does. There are two things you can do. First, you can literally boil an egg by burying it in the hot ground. The earth is your stovetop.
That's brilliant.
And second, you can go relax in naturally warm rivers that flow right through the town. The whole landscape is part spa, part kitchen.
So if we recap this whole journey, we've gone from the political origins of Iceland at the Aladdingi
to the sheer drama of the tectonic plates, seen a heroic act of preservation at Gullfoss.
and then into this modern geothermal-powered agricultural and cultural scene.
It's that balance that really defines the Golden Circle. It's where the oldest forms of human governance meet the newest forms of sustainable energy.
Where volcanic destruction literally enables life heating a city, growing food where it shouldn't be possible. And I think that raises a really important question.
It does. And this is for you to think about. We've seen how a Game of Thrones location exists on the Golden Circle, how musicians perform inside an ancient crater.
So how might Iceland's willingness to integrate its powerful ancient landscape directly into its culture, from government to art to food, how might that continue to shape global storytelling and maybe even our own understanding of sustainable living in the years to come?
A powerful thought to consider as we wrap up our tour and head back to the Smoky Bay.
Thank you so much for joining us for the deep dive. We'll see you next time.